Welcome to Sleepy Loon Channel. Tonight, allow your mind to slow down and wander gently into a place far away from busy roads, glowing screens, and the constant noise of the waking world. Imagine that you are standing at the quiet edge of a vast and forgotten forest, somewhere far beyond the last town, far beyond the last cabin where warm lights glow in distant windows. Here, the night is deep and calm, and the sky stretches endlessly above the tall silhouettes of ancient trees. The air is cool, carrying the faint scent of damp earth, moss, and something unfamiliar, something softly luminous. As you take your first slow step into the forest, the ground beneath you is soft with fallen needles and thick patches of moss, absorbing every sound so completely that even your footsteps seem to disappear before they can echo. Towering above you are enormous trees with trunks wider than houses, their bark dark and rough, twisting upward into branches that fade into shadow. But it is not the trees that make this forest truly strange. Scattered between them, rising from the soil like gentle glowing towers, are colossal mushrooms, ancient bioluminescent giants that glow with soft shades of blue, violet, and pale green. Their light is not harsh or bright. Instead, it breathes quietly into the darkness like distant lanterns floating in fog. A thin silver mist drifts through the forest floor, curling around roots and stones, catching the soft glow of the mushrooms so that the entire forest seems to shimmer with quiet, dream-like light. Somewhere deeper inside the woods, hidden behind layers of moss and ferns, rests something long forgotten by time. A small metal research capsule, half buried in the earth, its smooth surface now covered in vines and glowing spores. It has been here for a very long time, perhaps decades, perhaps centuries. No one remembers who sent it here or what it was meant to study. The forest has slowly claimed it as its own, wrapping its silent metal frame in roots and soft green growth. As you walk slowly toward it, the mist moves gently around your ankles, cool and calm, and the quiet glow of the mushrooms becomes your only guide through the darkness. Above, the sky peeks through breaks in the branches, revealing scattered stars that blink softly like distant watchers. There is no wind now, only the slow drifting of mist and the faint hum of the forest itself, a sound so low and gentle that it feels more like a feeling than a noise. Perhaps it is the quiet breathing of the enormous trees or the subtle energy flowing through the glowing fungi. In this strange place, everything seems to move at a slower rhythm, as if time itself has relaxed and decided to rest for a while. Your thoughts begin to slow too, just like the forest around you, becoming softer, quieter, drifting like the mist through the glowing lights. As you continue walking deeper into the forest, the glowing mushrooms grow larger and more numerous, their wide caps stretching like natural umbrellas over the mossy ground. Some lean gently against the trunks of ancient trees, while others stand alone like silent guardians of the night. Their soft light paints the forest floor in calm waves of color, creating slow-moving shadows that shift as the mist drifts by. The deeper you go, the more peaceful the forest feels, as if it welcomes quiet travelers who move slowly and breathe gently. After a while, you reach the old research capsule, resting in a small clearing where the trees open slightly toward the sky. It is round and smooth, about the size of a small vehicle, its once polished metal now dulled by time and covered in thin vines that glow faintly in the same soft colors as the mushrooms around it. One small light on its surface still blinks every few seconds, a slow, patient pulse that has continued for years without anyone there to notice it. You sit for a moment on a nearby fallen log, covered in moss so soft it feels like a cushion shaped by nature itself. From here, you can see the entire clearing, the glowing towers of fungi, the drifting silver mist, and the silent capsule that arrived here long ago from somewhere beyond the stars. Perhaps it came to study this strange forest, or perhaps it simply landed here by accident during some forgotten mission. Whatever its purpose once was, the forest has transformed it into something peaceful, something quiet, something that belongs to the rhythm of this place. A faint glow leaks through a small crack in the capsule's outer shell, illuminating the nearby moss with a gentle blue shimmer. Tiny floating spores drift lazily through the air, sparkling as they pass through the light like microscopic fireflies. If you listen carefully, you might notice the faintest mechanical hum still coming from within the capsule, a distant echo of old technology still breathing softly after all these years. Yet even that sound feels calm, almost comforting, blending perfectly with the quiet life of the forest. The mist continues its slow dance around the clearing, sometimes thick, sometimes thin, revealing and hiding pieces of the forest in gentle waves. Somewhere far away, an unseen branch creaks softly, and then everything returns to silence once more. In this place, nothing rushes, nothing demands attention. The glowing mushrooms continue their quiet work, releasing soft light into the darkness, while the ancient trees stand patiently beneath the stars. You take a slow breath, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, and as you breathe out, it feels as if the forest breathes with you. Your shoulders relax, your thoughts grow lighter, drifting like the glowing spores floating in the air. The capsule's small blinking light continues its slow rhythm, on, then off, then on again, like a distant heartbeat in the middle of the forest. The mist thickens slightly, softening the shapes of the trees and turning the glowing mushrooms into gentle halos of color. The clearing grows calmer and quieter with every passing moment, and the peaceful glow of this strange, forgotten forest begins to wrap around you like a warm blanket of light and silence. Here, beneath towering trees and glowing giants of the earth, time drifts slowly forward, and the forest watches over everything with endless patience, inviting you to rest, to breathe deeply, and to slowly, peacefully drift towards sleep. Welcome back to Sleepy Loom channel. If you are still awake, simply continue breathing slowly and gently as we wander a little deeper into the quiet forest of glowing giants. The clearing with the silent research capsule slowly fades behind you as you rise from the moss-covered log and begin walking again, moving at an unhurried pace beneath the immense trees. The soft, blinking light of the capsule becomes smaller and smaller until it finally disappears behind curtains of mist and towering mushroom stems. Ahead, the forest seems even older, as if these deeper parts have not been touched by movement for centuries. The ground is thick with moss that feels almost like velvet beneath each step, absorbing every sound so completely that the world becomes wrapped in a deep and comforting silence. The bioluminescent mushrooms here are different from the ones you saw earlier.
Some are taller than the trees themselves, their caps stretching outward like enormous glowing umbrellas. Their colors shift gently between pale turquoise, soft violet, and dim emerald, creating slow waves of light across the forest floor. As the mist drifts between them, the light bends and scatters, forming faint glowing rivers in the air that move almost too slowly to notice. Occasionally, tiny floating spores drift past your face, glowing softly as they travel through the beams of light. They move lazily, without direction, as if carried by a slow dream rather than by the wind. The air here feels calm and cool, filled with the earthy scent of damp soil, ancient bark, and the quiet life of countless unseen plants growing quietly beneath the moss. You continue forward, guided only by the gentle glow of the forest itself. The trees here have grown so wide that some of them have hollow spaces within their trunks, large enough to form natural chambers inside. Through one of these openings, you notice a faint interior glow, not bright, but steady and warm. Inside, clusters of small luminous fungi grow along the inner bark, lighting the tiny tree like a tiny lantern hidden in the woods. It feels less like a forest and more like a vast living cathedral shaped by nature and time. Far above, the canopy opens in thin cracks where distant stars quietly watch through the branches. Their light mixes with the soft glow of the mushrooms below, creating a layered sky of light both above you and beneath you. Somewhere in the distance, barely audible, you hear a slow mechanical tone, almost like a faint signal carried through the trees. It might be coming from another forgotten piece of technology hidden somewhere deep within the forest. Or perhaps it is simply the quiet hum of the strange life forms that glow in the darkness here. The sound does not disturb the peace. Instead, it blends gently into the forest's rhythm, like a slow note in a quiet piece of music. As you walk further, the mist thickens slightly, turning the distant trees into soft shadows and blurring the glowing mushrooms into gentle halos. Everything feels slower here, as if the forest itself has decided that time should move carefully and calmly. Your breathing follows that same rhythm now, slow, steady, peaceful, as the glowing lights continue to guide you deeper into the sleeping wilderness.
After some time walking through the drifting light and mist, the forest begins to change again. The ground slopes gently downward, and the enormous mushrooms become less crowded, giving way to wider spaces between the trees. Their glowing caps now cast long, peaceful shadows that stretch across the moss like calm waves. In the distance, you begin to see something unusual rising between the trunks of the ancient trees. Tall, smooth structures made of dark metal, half covered in moss and vines. As you approach slowly, you realize they are not natural formations at all, but the remains of very old exploration towers. They stand quietly among the trees, leaning slightly after many years of storms and growth. Once, long ago, they may have been observation posts where scientists studied the strange glowing ecosystem of this forest. Now they are silent monuments wrapped in nature's gentle embrace. Vines covered in small luminous leaves spiral around the metal beams, turning the forgotten structures into glowing sculptures. A narrow walkway still connects two of the towers above the forest floor, though the railing is now draped with moss and softly glowing spores. You stand beneath it for a moment, looking up through the mist as the walkway fades into the soft haze above.
Somewhere inside one of the towers, a tiny flicker of blue light briefly appears and fades again, as though some small piece of ancient equipment is still patiently performing a task it was given long ago. But nothing here feels abandoned or lonely. The forest has transformed everything into part of its quiet world. The metal towers, the old technology, the drifting spores, and the towering mushrooms all exist together in a calm balance, as if they have learned to rest by side. The mist flows slowly through the open structure of the towers, catching bits of glowing pollen and carrying them through the beams like tiny stars moving in slow motion. You walk a little further until you reach a gentle ridge where the forest opens into a wide valley below. From this higher ground, you can see an incredible sight: thousands upon thousands of glowing mushrooms spread across the valley floor, forming a soft ocean of light stretching far into the distance. Their colors pulse very slowly, like the breathing of a giant sleeping organism. The mist above the valley glows faintly with reflected light, turning the entire landscape into a peaceful sea of drifting color. Somewhere very far away, beyond the glowing valley, faint shapes of even larger trees rise into the sky, their silhouettes barely visible against the stars. You sit down again on a smooth stone, warmed slightly by the soft glow around it, letting the calm view settle into your mind. The forest is so quiet now that even your thoughts begin to soften and slow. The glowing valley below moves in its gentle rhythm, light fading and returning in calm waves. The distant towers stand silently behind you, their ancient purpose long forgotten, now simply part of the forest's dream. A few glowing spores float past your shoulder and drift down into the valley like tiny falling stars. As you breathe slowly in the cool night air, the luminous forest continues its quiet life all around you, ancient, mysterious, and endlessly patient, guiding your mind gently toward deeper rest, deeper calm, and the peaceful edge of sleep.
Imagine that you are still sitting quietly on the smooth stone at the edge of the glowing valley, watching the endless field of bioluminescent mushrooms stretching into the misty distance. The forest around you has grown even quieter now, as if the entire landscape has settled into a deep and peaceful sleep. The valley below seems alive with a slow and gentle rhythm. Waves of color move across the glowing caps of the giant mushrooms, soft turquoise fading into violet, violet melting into pale emerald, like the calm breathing of a sleeping planet. A thin silver mist floats lazily above the valley floor, drifting between the towering stems and catching the light in soft, glowing ribbons. For a while, you simply watch this quiet movement, breathing slowly, letting the calm atmosphere settle deeper into your mind. Eventually, you stand and begin to walk down the gentle slope toward the valley itself. Each step sinks slightly into the thick moss that blankets the ground, making your footsteps completely silent. The air feels cool and clean, filled with the subtle scent of damp earth and ancient bark. As you move farther into the glowing landscape, the mushrooms grow even larger around you. Some of their stems are wider than small rooms, their surfaces marked with delicate veins of light that pulse very slowly beneath the smooth outer layer. Above you, their wide caps stretch outward like enormous umbrellas, creating soft, glowing ceilings in the mist. When you pass beneath them, the light becomes dimmer and more peaceful, forming quiet halos around the drifting fog. Tiny luminous spores float gently through the air, glowing softly like microscopic lanterns.
They drift slowly past your shoulders and vanish into the mist without a sound. The deeper you walk into the valley, the more the outside world begins to fade from your thoughts. There are no distant cities here, no engines, no hurried footsteps, only the slow breathing of the forest and the quiet glow of its strange life. Occasionally, when you look upward between the glowing caps, you notice faint shapes drifting silently through the mist above the valley. They resemble enormous translucent jellyfish floating gently between the mushrooms with slow, graceful movements. Their bodies glow faintly from within, casting dim blue light through the fog as they glide peacefully through the night air. They make no sound at all, simply drifting in the calm currents of the forest, like quiet guardians of this mysterious ecosystem. As you continue your slow walk through the valley, you begin to notice small pools of water scattered between the giant mushroom stems. These pools are perfectly still, their surfaces smooth like glass. When you pause beside one and look down, you see the glowing mushrooms reflected in the water so clearly that it almost feels like looking into another world beneath the ground. The lights ripple softly across the surface whenever a tiny glowing spore touches the water, sending slow circles of color spreading outward. Some of the pools are surrounded by delicate moss that glows faintly at the edges, turning the water into quiet islands of light within the valley. As you wander farther, something unusual begins to rise out of the mist ahead of you. At first, it looks like the twisted roots of ancient trees, but as you approach, you realize it forms a vast archway towering high above the valley floor. Massive roots from several enormous trees have grown together over centuries, weaving themselves into a natural bridge that curves gracefully into the air. The entire structure is covered with soft moss and small glowing plants, their gentle light outlining every curve of the ancient wood. A narrow path winds upward along the roots, forming a quiet trail that leads toward the top of the arch. Slowly, calmly, you begin to follow it. The climb is gentle and steady, and with every step, the glowing valley spreads wider beneath you. Soon, the mushrooms below begin to look like an endless sea of soft lights, stretching far into the misty distance. The floating jellyfish-like creatures drift slowly through the glowing canopy below, their faint blue glow moving like distant lanterns in the fog. When you finally reach the highest point of the root arch, you stop and look out across the vast forest. From this height, the valley appears almost endless. Beyond the glowing mushrooms, dark forests continue across distant hills, fading gradually into the horizon, where faint stars rest above the silent landscape. Somewhere far away, barely visible through the haze, enormous circular structures rise above the treetops, ancient machines left behind by explorers who once tried to study this strange world. Now they stand quietly among the trees, wrapped in glowing vines and drifting mist, slowly becoming part of the forest itself. You sit down on the warm, moss-covered roots and simply watch the peaceful valley below. The mist drifts slowly through the glowing landscape, carrying tiny particles of light through the air like soft falling snow. The forest hums faintly with a deep and gentle energy, so quiet it almost feels like silence. Your breathing slows naturally as you sit there, high above the valley of light, surrounded by calm and endless night. The glowing mushrooms continue their slow rhythm below, the drifting creatures glide silently through the mist, and the ancient forest carries on with its quiet dream, guiding your thoughts gently toward stillness, rest, and the soft edge of sleep.
High above the glowing valley, you remain seated for a while on the wide, moss-covered roots of the ancient arch. The view below is calm and endless, a soft ocean of luminous mushrooms gently pulsing with slow waves of color. The drifting mist continues its quiet journey through the valley, sliding between the towering stems and carrying tiny glowing spores through the cool night air. For a long moment, nothing changes, and that stillness becomes part of the experience itself. Your breathing settles into the same rhythm as the valley below, slow, steady, and peaceful. Eventually, your eyes wander again toward the distant horizon, where faint shapes rise above the forest canopy. Earlier, they seemed almost like illusions hidden in the fog, but now, as the mist slowly shifts, their outlines grow clearer. Massive circular structures, ancient rings of dark metal, stand half-buried among the tallest trees of the forest. Their surfaces reflect the faint glow of the valley, revealing curved frames that stretch high into the night sky. From this distance, they appear enormous, far larger than the forgotten observation towers you passed earlier. For a moment, you simply observe them from the quiet height of the root arch, wondering how long they have stood there in silence. Perhaps they once rotated slowly above the forest, part of an old orbital research station that descended long ago. Or perhaps they were built here deliberately, designed to study the strange glowing ecosystem of this mysterious world. Whatever their original purpose might have been, time and nature have clearly claimed them. Vines climb along their metal structures, wrapping around beams and cables like living threads of green and blue light. Moss grows thick along their edges, softening the once precise lines of their design. Even from far away, you can see that parts of the rings are broken or bent, their once perfect circles now interrupted by long years of quiet decay. Yet there is something peaceful about the way they rest among the trees, as if the forest itself has welcomed them into its slow and patient rhythm. After sitting for a while longer, curiosity gently encourages you to continue your walk. You stand carefully from the warm roots and begin descending along the natural path that winds down the other side of the great arch. The moss beneath your feet remains soft and quiet, and the glowing valley slowly disappears behind the gentle slope of the forest floor. Ahead of you, the distant rings remain visible between gaps in the mist, acting like silent beacons guiding your path deeper into the forest. As you walk, the landscape begins to change once again. The enormous mushrooms become less frequent, replaced by taller trees whose trunks stretch upward like dark pillars in the mist. Their branches intertwine far above, forming a shadowed canopy where only faint traces of the glowing valley light reach the ground. Here, the forest feels older and slightly darker, though not in a frightening way, only deeper, more mysterious. Strange bioluminescent vines hang from the branches overhead, glowing softly like strands of suspended starlight. Occasionally, a slow drop of glowing dew falls from one leaf to the moss below, vanishing quietly into the ground. The air feels cooler in this part of the forest, carrying the scent of damp bark and quiet water hidden somewhere nearby. As you continue walking, the distant rings gradually grow larger through the drifting fog. Their massive curved structures loom above the treetops like ancient monuments left behind by travelers from another age. The forest around them grows thicker and more tangled, as if centuries of growth have slowly wrapped the machines in living layers of roots and vines. Still, the path beneath your feet remains gentle and inviting, guiding you forward through the silent trees toward the quiet mystery waiting ahead.
Inside the ancient ring structure, the quiet grows deeper with every slow step you take. The soft blue guide lights embedded in the corridor floor glow patiently beneath drifting particles of dust and faint luminous spores that have wandered inside from the surrounding forest. The hallway curves gently forward, following the immense circular shape of the ring that stretches high above the trees outside. Each step echoes only faintly, almost disappearing before the sound has time to travel far. The air inside the structure feels cool and calm, carrying the subtle scent of metal, old circuitry, and the faint earthy fragrance of moss and forest vines that have slowly made their way through tiny cracks in the walls. Long ago, this corridor must have been filled with quiet movement, researchers walking between laboratories, soft conversations about distant stars, gentle signals traveling through the station's equipment. Now it exists in a different kind of life, one that belongs more to the forest than to the people who once built it. Delicate vines hang from seams in the metal walls, their leaves glowing softly in pale greens and faint turquoise light. They trail along the surfaces of silent control panels and forgotten cables, slowly turning the corridor into something halfway between machine and forest. As you continue walking, the passage gradually widens until it opens into a vast circular chamber. The scale of the room reveals itself slowly as your eyes adjust to the dim light. The ceiling rises high above you like the inside of a great dome, supported by enormous metal ribs that curve upward and meet at a central ring far overhead. In the middle of the chamber stands a wide platform surrounded by curved consoles arranged in careful circles. Once this must have been the heart of the observatory, where scientists gathered to study the sky above this mysterious world. Now the consoles rest quietly beneath thin layers of dust, their glass screens dark except for the occasional faint flicker of dormant energy. Small clusters of bioluminescent plants grow gently across the surfaces of the equipment, glowing softly like constellations scattered across the metal. On one side of the dome, a massive transparent window stretches from floor to ceiling. Through the curved glass, you can see the outer arc of the giant ring structure rising into the misty night sky. Vines wrap around its metal beams like living threads of light, their soft glow reflecting gently against the glass. Beyond the structure, the stars shine calmly above the endless forest. Standing here in the center of the quiet observatory, it feels as though time itself has slowed to match the rhythm of the sleeping world outside. You walk slowly along the edge of the central platform, your fingers brushing lightly against one of the consoles. Beneath the dust, you can still see faint markings and symbols that once guided the operation of the station's instruments. For a brief moment, one of the nearby screens flickers weakly, displaying a ghostly fragment of data before fading again into darkness. The observatory does not feel abandoned in a lonely way. Instead, it feels as though it has simply drifted into a long and peaceful rest, gently watched over by the forest that has grown around it. The only sound that remains is the soft hum of ancient systems still working somewhere deep within the structure. The sound is steady and quiet, like the slow breathing of a sleeping machine. Near the curved wall of the chamber, you notice a narrow spiral staircase climbing upward along the inside of the dome. Small lights glow along its railing, forming a calm path that disappears toward the highest level of the ancient station. Curious and calm, you place your hand against the cool railing and begin to climb slowly upward, leaving the silent control chamber behind as the staircase carries you gently toward the quiet heights of the ancient station.
The staircase winds upward in a slow, graceful spiral along the inner curve of the observatory dome. Each step brings you a little higher above the silent chamber below. And with every turn of the stairway, new views of the forest outside appear through sections of transparent glass built into the structure's walls. The lights along the railing glow softly beside you, guiding your climb through the quiet interior. Occasionally, you pass small observation balconies that open outward toward the night landscape beyond the station. When you pause beside one of these openings, the view reveals a vast and peaceful world stretching far into the distance. The dark canopy of the forest spreads like an endless ocean of treetops beneath the misty sky. Far away, gentle patches of color glow between the trees, where enormous bioluminescent mushrooms still illuminate the valley floor you explored earlier. From this height, they appear like scattered islands of soft light drifting across the darkness. The farther you climb, the quieter everything becomes. Even the faint mechanical hum of the observatory begins to fade behind you until only the calm silence of the high structure remains. Eventually, the staircase reaches its final curve and opens into a small circular observation chamber at the very top of the dome. The room is surrounded by curved glass walls that create a complete panoramic view of the forest world below. When you step inside, the sight is breathtaking in its peacefulness. The forest stretches endlessly in every direction, fading gradually into distant hills and mist-covered valleys. The great ring structure continues its immense arc above you, its broken segments glowing faintly where vines have wrapped themselves around the metal beams. High above the canopy, faint drifting shapes move slowly through the night air. They are the same gentle floating creatures you saw earlier, gliding silently across the sky like enormous glowing jellyfish. Their soft blue light moves gracefully through the mist as they drift over the sleeping forest. The stars shine calmly above them, scattered across the deep darkness of space. From this height, the sky feels vast and close at the same time, as though the observatory was built here to bring its explorers nearer to the quiet universe beyond the planet's atmosphere. In the center of the observation room rests a circular device embedded in the floor. Its surface is smooth and dark, partially covered by thin vines and drifting dust. Around its edge, a faint ring of pale blue light continues to glow patiently after all these years. As you step closer, the device seems to awaken gently, sensing movement in the room. The blue light brightens slightly, and a soft harmonic tone fills the quiet chamber, like a distant chime echoing through still water. Slowly, a holographic projection rises from the device, forming a dim three-dimensional map that floats quietly in the air above it. The projection shows the surrounding world from high above. Vast forests spread across the landscape in dark green shadows, while glowing valleys appear as islands of gentle light scattered across the terrain. Small markers blink slowly across the map, representing other exploration stations placed long ago across the planet. Many of them are dark now, silent like the observatory beneath your feet. Yet a few still glow faintly somewhere beyond the horizon, continuing their quiet watch over the mysterious forest world. The map rotates slowly in the air, casting soft, moving light across the curved glass walls of the observation room. Outside, the forest remains calm beneath the night sky. Clouds of glowing spores drift gently through the air above the trees, while the floating creatures continue their silent journey across the distant stars. Sitting quietly beside the soft holographic projection, you allow the peaceful scene to settle into your mind. The ancient observatory hums softly around you, its systems continuing their slow, patient rhythm. The forest below breathes with the same calm presence, spreading endlessly beneath the glowing mist and quiet sky. And in this peaceful place high above the sleeping world, your thoughts begin to slow and soften like drifting spores in the night air, gently guiding you closer and closer to deep rest and quiet sleep.
For a long while, you remain in the quiet observation chamber at the top of the ancient structure, watching the soft holographic map slowly rotate above the circular device. The faint blue glow reflects gently across the curved glass walls, while the forest beyond continues its peaceful rhythm beneath the night sky. Eventually, however, your attention begins to drift back toward the world outside the observatory. The distant valleys, the dark seas of trees, and the faint drifting mist beyond the glass invite you to continue the slow journey through this mysterious landscape. You take one last calm look across the horizon, where the endless forest meets the stars, then step back from the glowing map. The device dims slightly as you move away, returning once more to its quiet, patient glow. The observation chamber grows still again, as though it has returned to sleep after briefly waking to greet a visitor. With slow footsteps, you begin descending the spiral staircase that winds down through the interior of the dome. The soft lights along the railing guide your path, and each step carries you gently downward through the silent structure. The observatory feels peaceful, almost protective, as if it has quietly watched the forest for many years and will continue to do so long after travelers like you pass through its halls. When you reach the large circular chamber below, the wide consoles and silent screens greet you once again in their calm stillness. The faint hum of the ancient systems continues to flow through the walls like a quiet heartbeat. Yet now the outside forest calls again, and the open doorway beneath the massive arc of the ring structure waits patiently. Slowly, you walk across the chamber floor and back through the curved corridor where glowing vines hang gently along the metal walls. The cool air grows slightly fresher as you approach the exit, carrying the scent of moss, damp earth, and distant night air. When you finally step outside, the forest welcomes you again with its soft, breathing silence. The clearing beneath the great ring is calm and mist-filled, the moss-covered landing platform glowing faintly beneath scattered clusters of bioluminescent plants. Above you, the enormous arc of the ancient structure curves across the sky like a broken halo resting over the forest canopy. Its metal beams are now almost completely wrapped in vines that glow gently in the darkness. The mist drifts slowly through the clearing, brushing against the base of the structure before continuing into the deeper woods. For a moment, you stand there, letting your eyes adjust once more to the natural darkness beyond the artificial lights of the observatory. The forest feels alive in its quiet way. Somewhere far off, a slow breeze moves through the treetops, creating a faint whisper of leaves shifting high above the ground. Tiny glowing spores float through the air around you, drifting lazily in the cool currents of the night. After a few calm breaths, you begin walking again, leaving the ancient ring structure behind. A narrow path leads away from the clearing into the forest, its edges marked by faint patches of glowing moss that guide your steps. The trees here grow tall and straight, their trunks rising like dark pillars into the shadowed canopy above. The further you walk, the more the great ring disappears behind the thick forest, until only the quiet glow of the vines along its highest arc remains visible between distant branches. Eventually, even that final glimpse fades, and the path carries you fully into a new part of the forest, where the air feels cooler and the silence deeper. The forest beyond the observatory feels older and more mysterious than the areas you explored earlier in the night. The glowing mushrooms that once filled the valley now appear less frequently, replaced by tall, ancient trees whose bark is thick with moss and softly glowing lichen. Their branches stretch far overhead, weaving together to form a high canopy that allows only small patches of starlight to reach the ground below. The path beneath your feet remains soft and quiet, covered in layers of fallen leaves and gentle moss that absorbs every sound. As you continue walking, you begin to notice something unusual in the distance. Between the trunks of the trees, faint columns of pale light rise slowly into the mist above the forest floor. At first, they appear almost like beams of moonlight slipping through the canopy, but as you approach, you realize they come from the ground itself. Soon, the path opens into a wide, natural basin surrounded by towering trees. At the center of the basin lies a vast field of crystal-like formations emerging from the earth. The crystals rise in tall clusters, some no larger than your hand, others towering as high as small buildings. Their surfaces glow softly with an inner light that shifts gently between pale blue, soft violet, and calm silver tones. The crystals hum faintly with a deep harmonic vibration that is almost too low to hear but can be felt subtly in the air around you. The sound is calming, steady, and rhythmic, blending perfectly with the quiet atmosphere of the forest. Thin streams of mist move between the glowing formations like slow rivers of fog, carrying tiny luminous spores that sparkle as they pass through the light. Walking carefully among the crystal clusters feels like entering a silent garden of living light. Each step reveals new shapes and reflections across the smooth surfaces of the formations. Some crystals lean gently together, forming natural arches beneath which the glowing mist gathers. Others stand alone like quiet towers rising from the forest floor. When you place your hand near one of them, you can feel a faint warmth radiating from its surface, as though a quiet energy flows slowly through the mineral structure beneath the ground. The forest around the basin remains calm and watchful, its tall trees forming a dark circle around the glowing field. High above the canopy, a few of the floating jellyfish-like creatures drift silently across the sky, their soft blue light moving slowly between the distant stars. The combination of glowing crystals, drifting mist, and silent forest creates an atmosphere so peaceful that time itself seems to slow again. You walk deeper into the basin until you reach its center, where the crystals grow tallest and brightest. Here, the humming vibration becomes slightly stronger, though still gentle and soothing. The light from the formations reflects across the mist, filling the entire basin with a soft, shimmering glow. For a while, you simply stand among the crystals, breathing slowly as the calm energy of the place surrounds you. It feels as though the forest itself has created this glowing sanctuary, a quiet heart hidden deep within its endless landscape. And as you remain there among the silent crystal towers, listening to the soft harmonic hum rising,
Standing quietly among the glowing crystal towers, you begin to notice how the entire basin seems to move with a slow and gentle rhythm. The soft humming sound rising from the crystals is steady and deep, almost like the calm breathing of the earth beneath your feet. It is not loud or overwhelming. Instead, it feels soothing, like a distant vibration that settles softly in the air around you. The tall crystal formations glow from within, their light shifting slowly between pale blue, soft violet, and silvery white. As the mist drifts between them, the light bends and spreads into gentle waves that move across the basin floor. Tiny luminous particles float through the air, sparkling briefly as they pass through the glowing crystal beams before disappearing into the soft fog again. Walking slowly between the formations, you begin to feel as though you have entered a hidden sanctuary deep within the forest. The towering trees around the basin stand silently like ancient guardians, their thick trunks forming a quiet wall that protects this peaceful place from the outside world. Above the canopy, the night sky remains calm and wide, filled with distant stars that shine gently through narrow openings in the leaves. Occasionally, one of the drifting jellyfish-like creatures glides slowly across the sky, its faint blue glow moving silently above the dark forest below. From time to time, a slightly stronger pulse of light passes through the crystals, traveling from one cluster to another like a quiet wave of energy spreading through the ground. When this happens, the humming sound deepens for a moment before returning to its usual calm tone. It almost feels as if the crystals are communicating with each other in a language made of light and vibration. You walk toward the center of the basin, where the tallest formations stand together in a circle. These crystals are enormous, rising far above your head with smooth surfaces that reflect the mist and glowing spores drifting through the air. Their light is slightly brighter here, yet still soft enough to keep the peaceful atmosphere of the forest intact. At the very center of the circle lies a wide stone platform, almost perfectly round, as though it has been shaped naturally over centuries by the slow growth of the crystals around it. The stone surface is smooth and faintly warm, holding a gentle glow that reflects the surrounding lights. You step carefully onto the platform and pause for a moment, listening to the steady harmonic hum filling the basin. From this central point, the entire field of crystals stretches outward in every direction, their glowing peaks rising like quiet towers through the mist. The sight is both beautiful and calming, as though the forest itself has created a quiet place for rest and reflection. The air feels slightly warmer here, carrying the subtle scent of minerals and damp earth. A soft breeze moves gently through the basin, stirring the mist into slow, swirling patterns between the crystal columns. For a while, you remain still, simply observing the peaceful movements of light and fog around you. The deeper you breathe, the more the rhythm of the crystals seems to match your own breathing. Inhale slowly as the soft glow brightens. Exhale gently as the light fades again into its calm pulse. Time feels different in this hidden place. Minutes pass like quiet drifting clouds, and the outside world feels farther away than ever before. As you sit down on the smooth stone platform, the forest continues its silent life around you. The crystals hum softly beneath the ground, the mist drifts slowly between the glowing towers. High above the trees, the silent sky stretches endlessly with calm stars watching over the sleeping forest. The floating creatures continue their slow journey through the night air, their dim blue light occasionally reflecting off the tops of the crystal formations below. Everything in this basin moves with the same patient rhythm, as though the entire landscape has entered a long, peaceful dream. The glowing crystals do not rush, the forest does not hurry. Even the mist seems content to wander slowly through the quiet space between the lights. Sitting there at the heart of the crystal basin, surrounded by gentle color and calm vibration, you begin to feel the same stillness settling within your thoughts. The soft hum of the crystals becomes almost like distant music, low and steady, guiding your mind into deeper calm. And as the glowing towers continue their quiet rhythm beneath the star-filled sky, the forest gently invites you to rest here a little longer, letting the peaceful...
Standing quietly in the center of the crystal basin, you begin to notice that the soft humming rising from the glowing formations is more than just a sound. It feels almost like a gentle rhythm flowing through the ground beneath your feet, a calm vibration that travels slowly through the air and settles peacefully around you. The tall crystal towers surrounding the basin glow with soft shades of pale blue, quiet violet and silvery white light. Their surfaces are smooth and reflective, catching the drifting mist and scattering it into delicate ribbons that move slowly between the towering formations. Every few moments, a subtle pulse of light travels through the crystals, moving from one cluster to another like a silent wave spreading across a calm ocean. The light brightens slightly, then fades again into its peaceful glow, repeating the same slow rhythm over and over. Tiny glowing spores float gently through the basin, sparkling briefly as they pass through the light before vanishing into the mist again. The air here feels different from the rest of the forest. It is cooler, softer, and filled with a quiet stillness that seems to calm every thought that enters your mind. The towering trees surrounding the basin stand silently like ancient guardians of this hidden place. Their thick trunks rise into the darkness above, where branches weave together to form a high canopy that opens in small windows toward the stars. Through those openings you can see the night sky stretching endlessly above the forest. The stars shine softly, distant and patient, as if they have been watching over this glowing basin for thousands of years. From time to time, one of the gentle floating creatures drifts across the sky far above the trees. Their translucent forms glow faintly blue as they glide silently through the night air, moving slowly like drifting lanterns in a quiet dream. The entire basin seems to breathe with the same calm rhythm. The mist moves slowly between the crystals. The glowing formations pulse gently beneath the earth. Even the forest beyond the basin appears to move at a slower pace, as if time itself has softened within this hidden sanctuary. You take a few slow steps toward the center of the crystal basin, where the tallest crystals stand together in a loose circle. At their center lies the smooth stone platform you discovered earlier, its surface still faintly warm and glowing with reflected light. Sitting there once again, you look around at the peaceful landscape that surrounds you. The glowing towers stretch outward in every direction, their quiet light turning the basin into a field of calm color beneath the dark forest canopy. The soft humming vibration continues to rise gently from the earth, steady and soothing, like distant music played far beneath the ground. Breathing slowly, you begin to feel as though your thoughts are drifting along with the mist that moves between the crystals. The outside world, busy streets, bright screens, and restless sounds feels very far away now. Here, there is only the calm forest, the glowing crystal basin, and the peaceful rhythm of light and silence. As the quiet moments continue to pass, the glowing basin seems to grow even calmer. The pulses of light moving through the crystals become slower and softer, like a heartbeat gently settling into deep rest. The mist drifts lazily across the ground, wrapping itself around the bases of the tall formations before slowly dissolving into the cool night air. The floating spores continue their silent journey, rising and falling through the basin like tiny stars caught in a slow current. You sit comfortably on the smooth stone platform, feeling the gentle warmth beneath you and the quiet vibration of the crystals beneath the earth. Everything here feels balanced, peaceful, and timeless. The forest has guided you through many quiet places tonight: the glowing valley of giant mushrooms, the ancient ring observatory resting among the trees, and the silent pathways that led you deeper into this mysterious world. Now, here at the heart of the crystal basin, the journey begins to slow and gently come to its natural end. The glowing towers continue their calm rhythm beneath the star-filled sky, and the distant forest whispers softly beyond the basin's edge. For a moment, you close your eyes and simply listen. The deep harmonic